slide, but we do want to show you the code. We do want to show you how it looks in practice. So right now, I'm super happy to hand over to our CPO and co-founder, to Khaled, to show you in a live demo what I've been talking about, what I've been describing, and how Spark, our AI test agent, looks in action. Khaled, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Eric. Hi, everyone. Really excited to show you Spark today. So, as Eric mentioned, so in this live demo, we will see how Spark work on a real-world code base. And the project that we are going to use here is zlib.yaml, which is an open source library written in C for parsing and emitting YAML files. And it's a code base that I'm not familiar with. And this represents a scenario we often see in the industry where the security teams responsible for fuzz testing are sort of different from the engineering or development team. So they don't have the detailed domain knowledge that's required to just quickly start writing fuzz tests for this repository. And before we see Spark in action, or before we see how Spark can actually handle this case, let's spend a few moments discussing what I would have to do if I was to manually fuzz this project. So as Eric mentioned, so the first thing that I would ask myself is would be where to start. So what are the important functions, the important entry points, APIs to focus on or to tackle in this case. And so I can, for example, have a look at the documentation here. I can read the docs. I can talk to the development team, or I can even have a look here at the code. So we see, for example, in the source file, in this repository, that there are several functions defined. And so I can have a look at those functions, try to make sense of what they do in order to basically pick the best functions or candidates that I would focus on. And this is a sort of small code base of roughly 6,000 lines of code. But now imagine you have a large code base with millions of lines of code and thousands of functions. So you can imagine that this is quite consuming, and this step can easily take days or even weeks. And the next step, after I have identified my my main function that I want to focus on, the question becomes, for example, if I have a look at this one, so the question becomes, how should I write a test or a fuzz test for this function? And for that, in order for me to do that, I would need to understand, for example, the different workflows in which this function can be used, any setup or initialization that needs to happen before I can actually call this function to set up the correct context, and also where should I provide the fuzzer generated data. So all these questions require deep domain knowledge about the code base, and you can also see why this can be very time consuming. And so these two steps are usually the main barriers or obstacles that you need to tackle in order to have a suite of fuzz tests that you can actually run and try to optimize code coverage. And with Spark, our goal is to automate this entire process. So Spark is integrated into our main product, CI Fuzz. So let me bring my terminal, and it's available as a command for CI Fuzz. So to invoke Spark on this code base, all I need to do is to call CI Fuzz Spark, and I give it a goal to reach. So a code coverage goal. So what I'm saying here, Spark, please go have a look and at the code base, generate the test until you reach 75% code coverage. So let's let it run and see how Spark handles this case. So if I started, first Spark scans the code base to identify the most important functions to test. And these functions are characterized based on the likelihood of or the impact, the expected impact. So this includes things like the expected code coverage and the likelihood of triggering a bug. And in this case, we found this 59 function that we can fuzz. Spark picked the best one, created a fuzz test, ran the fuzz test for a certain amount of time, and here is only 10 seconds for demo purposes. And this first one reached 66% code coverage, and it triggered a finding. And then, based on this information and the code coverage that collected in the first step, then Spark selects the next best candidates, and the process continues. Create a fuzz test, run them, and so you would see here that the code coverage is steadily increasing until we reach our goal. And to make sure that we generate high quality fuzz tests, so that Spark generates high quality fuzz tests, we employ advanced techniques to make sure that we get the best answer of the LLM, but we also perform verification or refinement steps to make sure that the fuzz tests that we get are of a high quality, that we can build and run, and they gain code coverage. And if this is not the case, refine them, optimize them automatically until they do. And so here, Spark was faster than me and finished the job and reached the target code coverage. And so here we see a summary of the results. So Spark, as I mentioned, reached the goal code coverage of 75%. To do so, it needs to generate 3 fuzz tests, and it executed, or it generates 2,500 unique test cases. And these are test cases that triggers unique code coverage or unique behaviors in your program. And it detected 1 finding. And just remember here, so all I had to do to reach these results is run Spark on the code base. And this is here would be a good opportunity just to highlight two of the main benefits of white box fuzz testing. So the first thing is that you get actionable results, meaning that for each finding that we report, or that fuzzing finds, you get here the exact location where it happened in the source code. So you can directly jump into that location and see, for example, this finding was caused by this wrong use of memcopy. You also get the complete stack trace and the exact input that triggers this vulnerability. And these information are valuable, are very important to just easily reproduce this finding by, for example, starting a debugging session. And this enables you to quickly understand the root cause and then come up with a fix easy. And so this is the first benefit you get. The second benefit is that you get detailed code coverage insight into the code. So you know exactly the lines of code that you have tested or that you have not yet tested. So, and you can even show it here in your IDE very easily. So if I can click here on watch, you see we get in green these lines of code that we covered and that we have not covered. And then the same goes here. So you know exactly what you tested and what you have not yet tested. And so just to make it also this clear, so all what I need to do was to run Spark on this code base. And this is, by the way, the same way or the same manner how we was identified the Wolf SSL vulnerability. So we just let Spark run there. It created the fuzz test, and one of them triggered this vulnerability. So this is mainly what we wanted to show you here in the demo today.
This is great, Khaled. Thank you for this. Yeah. Before you leave your IDE there is one question that I think you could probably show us live. Someone has asked, how can you see what the fuzz test, or how can you see the fuzz test created by Spark, and can you work with that? So can you see the output from Spark?
Yes, certainly. So the fuzz tests that we generate, so that's the Spark generate, as you can see here, are persisted, so that you can then, starting from this point, have a look at them and refine them as you wish. So, for example, we can have a look at the first fuzz test that Spark generated here. And so here, as I mentioned, so this is then persisted. You can have a look, you can refine, improve, etc. And then this is also, let me take this opportunity just to go through this fuzz test a little bit. So we see that it's quite a bit of code that Spark generated automatically. And so while we see here at some point that our target function is called, so you can see that Spark managed to create the initialization code that's needed for this function at the end. Also do the proper cleanup, and these are the steps that are necessary to have realistic and high quality fuzz tests.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. All right, I will go ahead and share again, and I think you'll give us a quick wrap up.
Exactly. So what did we see in the live demo? So what we saw is that in roughly or even less than 2 minutes, with a single command, Spark generated or was able to accomplish our target goal of testing or fuzzing the project and achieving a minimum of 75% code coverage. This time it was exactly 75, but this varies. Sometimes you get 80, sometimes you get 76. And this is the main part for me here, is that it automatically generated, built, validated, and ran 3 individual fuzz tests, and generated automatically roughly 2,500 unique test cases. And yeah, it uncovered 1 bug, and hopefully this is the only existing bug in this project. So this gives us a summary of what Spark achieved in these 2 minutes.
Thank you, Khaled. All right.